Welcome to Publishing Power. My name is Joellen, and I am with Christina Stanley of Fictionary again today. Hello, Christina.
Hi, Joellen. So we're back to talk about the 38 Fictionary story elements, and today we're going to talk about flashbacks.
Yes, we've been going through so much. I do feel like I'm having flashbacks. So please tell us about flashbacks in our story.
Well, flashbacks are very important to stories. Not all stories have them, and you don't have to have them. But if you do, there's some things you want to keep in mind. So, okay, before we get into this, let's describe what a flashback is and how it differs from backstory. So we've covered backstory already. Flashback is a scene that happens and it's active. So it's in the moment, even though in the timeline of the story, it's happening before you are. So if you're in scene 10, it's something that happened before scene 10.
Okay.
And you're telling it to the reader in an active fashion. So it's Joellen ran to the store and she picked up her groceries. It's not as in a backstory where it's the character remembering something. And that's the key difference between the two.
So it's active. It's an active backflash. And how do we separate in a story so that people see and know, like even formatting wise, that this is separate? Because I think it's really important here.
Yes, it is. And so you need to be careful when you're getting into and out of a flashback. And the best ways to do this are you have a transition point and you use tense to do it. And so you can have a trigger in the existing scene. So we'll just keep with the example of Joellen running to the store. So let's say that's a really important flashback because something bad happens at that store. And it's part of the character motivation for Joellen. And so we have Joellen in the scene, and maybe when she went to the store, she picked up something really strange, and it was a certain type of pasta. And so she's in a restaurant and she sees that pasta. And so that triggers her memory to go into a flashback. And so your dinner is served, you look down and go, oh, I remember I had run to the store, or if it's in third person, Joellen remembered she had run to the store. Use had once and then flip it into in the now. And so you start writing it. And so the reader in their head will trigger, oh, that's past because I remembered it and because I used had, but don't use had all the way through. You don't write the whole thing in past tense. You just use it once. And when you're coming out of the scene, you need a trigger, and it could be the server says, excuse me, ma'am, would you like to order? And then Joellen says, oh, yep, sorry, yes, I would like to order. And so the words and the setting are bringing the reader right back to the present. So they know they've gone into and they've come out of a flashback.
Okay. So how do we use those effectively? What are we doing here?
So there's a couple of things. One, never have a flashback in the first scene, because what you're doing with the flashback is you're asking the reader to start a new story, and that's hard. Then they have to readjust to it. And so you don't want to do it too early. You want to anchor your reader in your current story. And when you have flashbacks, don't do too many in a row, because then really what you're doing is you're writing a scene that is jumping from time to time, and you might as well structure your book that way. Flashbacks are related directly to the plot and directly to character motivation, and it needs to be something significant to the story that the reader has to know in order to understand the character or understand the story.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to go through and look for these flashbacks, make sure that they're presented well, and
so of course, here comes the list. So as you're going through, and we've done, your tension and your conflict and your backstory and your revelations, flashbacks have to fit right in there with those. And so now that you're building your list of what you have when, you're going to do the same thing. You can record your flashbacks with just enough words so you remember what they are. So you just write a one line, Joellen ran to the store. That's it. So when you see your list of flashbacks, you can see in your overall story, how many do you have? When do they occur? So that's the high level thing. And when you're rereading your scenes, reread them so that you know you got in and got out of a flashback in a way that the reader's going to understand it was into and out of a flashback.
Okay. All right. Lots of work. But again, you're going to be a better writer and a very better storyteller because of it. So let's get busy, folks, and we'll see you again during our next 38 story element series to keep talking about how to make your best story out there. Thank you, Christina.
Thanks to Ellen. See you soon.